One. In middle school, I knew a girl who was albino and blinder every day. Didn't talk to her much after that, but in high school, she strolled the halls in a wheelchair with a mounted camera. Brother Ray lost a leg and coasted around on a little knee scooter until one Christmas party when he walked in with a prosthetic and a smile, so tall, so proud. And Alex in her wheelchair on days not too cold, not too hot, when she could come back to church. I've always been able to walk, but I still know something of I can't do that. In anthropology, we learned that food sharing is a way to become brothers. It follows then that those of us who can't are eternally orphaned. When I was 6 years old, my doctor noticed that I hadn't grown in a year. I had a lot of stomach aches and was a really small, skinny kid. I ended up getting some blood tests and an endoscopy, and I was diagnosed with celiac disease. Celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder that basically means if I eat gluten, a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye, my immune system decides to commit mutiny on my intestines, which can lead to permanent damage, difficulty absorbing nutrients, malnutrition, and a host of indirect health issues as a result of that malnutrition. Celiac disease never goes away, and the only way to treat it is to limit gluten intake as much as possible, as in none at all. So after Christmas that year, my dad took me to Cece's Pizza for the one last hurrah, and then I swore off gluten altogether. Since I was diagnosed at 6, I'd pretty much grown up gluten free. It's second nature to me navigating not getting poisoned. It's just a matter of checking labels and ingredients, because a lot of things that are labeled gluten free aren't actually celiac safe. Keeping dedicated kitchen equipment, avoiding areas with particulate airborne gluten, vetting anyone trying to cook for me, keeping an eye out for potential contamination, and not playing with Play Doh. Yeah, Play Doh has gluten in it. That was really annoying in second grade when we were doing a project with Play Doh. But I was lucky to have a mom who's a bit of a germaphobe and naturally pretty adept at noticing contamination. To this day, I don't know any other gluten free person who's as strict as me. Granted, I don't know many other celiacs besides my own brother, but I'm the only person I know of who will almost always skip any food I'm not totally sure about. That's good for my health, but it's been a bit of a social strain. For a long time, I did not want to call myself disabled because I'm perfectly able bodied. I can do anything anyone else can do. I just have to plan ahead and pack food or do research to find places I can eat at, or just plan to eat later or stop back at my house. And I have to ask what food will be at activities and awkwardly refuse to eat things that someone put a lot of effort into for me. And even though none of that is a physical disability, all of it is a social disability. When I was in my church's Young Women's, we were doing a fundraiser for Girls Camp and we sold cookie dough. On the day they made the cookie dough, they set up an assembly line in the church gym and mixed it all together. I sat in another room by myself, cutting paper and ribbons to package everything because I couldn't be in the gym with the airborne flour all over the place. And once, when I went tubing with some friends, we stopped at a burger place around 2 in the afternoon, and I had to sit there exhausted and very cold and starving while everyone ate their very tasty looking food until I could finally go home and make myself a pizza. A lot of times at church food activities, I just don't eat anything, even when they provide gluten free options, because I know that no one is sufficiently experienced in not contaminating things. At Relief Society, one time they put out a little charcuterie and told me there were gluten free crackers for me, but everything was on the same plate, and that's a huge no no for me. That's how gluten crumbs get into nominally gluten free food. So it's been kind of rough. Plus, I've had a lot of trouble socially anyway, and I blamed a lot of that on having severe food allergies just because it's something that sets me apart. So when I look back, so when I realized that I'm also autistic, I look back and realize that having celiac disease has also masked that in some ways. But between those two things, even though I'm able bodied, I have finally come to consider myself a disabled person, if only to get the free lifetime national park pass. Lately, there's been quite a lot of disability representation in media, but I never really saw any characters with the sort of experience that I've had for most of my life. That sort of situation where they can do most things, but also have to plan ahead and prepare and bring personal accommodations and can handle things themselves, but still have to worry about getting in the way of plans. The sort of person who's hard to go on a date with because there's a lot of places they just can't go. Someone who doesn't really feel disabled, but still has to shape their entire life around accommodating something. Someone who's fully capable, but just a little outside of everything. Then one day, I finished binging Phineas and Ferb, and my roommate told me that if I liked that so much, then I should watch Milo Murphy's Law. If you don't know, a lot of people don't because the show is criminally underwatched and was canceled because of it. Milo Murphy's Law is a spin off of Phineas and Ferb that takes place in the same universe and follows Milo Murphy, who has Murphy's Law. Everything that can go wrong around him does. In order to accommodate this, he always carries around a backpack full of anything he could need to be able to deal with the inevitable, unfortunate circumstances that are waiting just around the corner. He can be hard to be around because the things that happen around him are hard to plan for and hard to deal with and require a lot of preparation. Very few people are willing to be around him very much. Milo is a lot like me, but with a way less social anxiety. I love his attitude. He sees life as an adventure and actually says that he thinks other people's lives must be really boring compared to his. Instead of moping around about his disability, he finds ways to cope and accommodate himself in doing all the activities he wants to do while limiting his negative impact on other people's experiences. He doesn't just accept his Murphy's Law, he embraces it and even enjoys it. I feel very similar about my celiac disease. It's a part of my life that I'm used to and can handle that sometimes gets in the way, but it's also something I've learned a lot from and wouldn't change about myself. I also love how Murphy's Law is portrayed in terms of a disability. It is not a bad thing. It's a neutral trait that requires some accommodation. When things go poorly, Milo has the experience to handle it. Some people can't handle being around him, but when they're mean about it, that's a them problem, and when it's just that his disability makes them uncomfortable, that's okay because it's not their job to deal with it if it's too difficult for them. Milo has friends who are comfortable accommodating him and who even love him for his disability. In the best cases, Murphy's Law can even be helpful. For a class project, Milo's class does the egg drop challenge. Maybe it seems like Murphy's Law would be a big disadvantage for that. It does cost them a lot of eggs, but letting Milo drop the egg in testing allows his team to account for everything that could possibly go wrong, which gets them an A on the project. As a person with celiac disease, yeah, it can be hard to feed myself, but I know how to cook. And a lot of times people want to take me places that are gluten free just for the sake of it. I enjoy eating out a lot more than the average person because it's such a rare thing for me. My replacement food is sometimes bigger or better than what everyone else has, at which point I usually like to stick my tongue out at one of my non celiac siblings and yell, "Perks!" And I can always help out other people who also have severe food allergies. And now for a little fangirling. Indulge me. I love the Milo and Amanda ship. It's the main reason I'm very annoyed Milo Murphy's Law got canceled. On paper, it's the worst idea ever. It's the girl who meticulously plans out everything and gets stressed out when things don't go as planned, and the boy whose mere presence makes everything go wrong. And that's how Amanda sees it at first. He's someone who gets in the way. And then there's the cake contest episode. It's there to prove that this relationship is actually perfect. Amanda is stressed out because she's going to be on her favorite show and wants everything to go perfectly, but has to team up with Milo. She thinks the entire thing will end up falling to pieces, but Milo gets to prove something he and the audience know very well by now. He can handle anything that goes wrong. Things do go wrong, but Milo is ready and he handles everything. He gets Amanda to loosen up a little and enjoy herself. She learns to trust his experience and ingenuity in handling the unexpected. They have a great time and even manage to win the contest. They're perfect together because Amanda's the planner who sets the goals and figures out a way to get there, and Milo is the one who fills in the gaps and forges a new path when something gets in the way. They give me confidence. I've had some anxiety over whether my disabilities will be a deal breaker for some guy someday. I can be hard to hang out with because I'm hard to feed, and being autistic can make it hard for me to relate to people or keep up with them. But Milo shows me that maybe I can make up for that, or even shine because of it, just by being me with all the unique perspectives and experience that I have. But the thing that strikes me the most is this. A lot of people see Milo as a burden, like Elliot, who literally tells Milo to off himself in one episode. And I imagine that it's hard for Milo not to see himself as a burden, because that's something that's hard for me. I've seen my mom get stressed over coordinating food for family trips since we can't very well stop for fast food. Once at Thanksgiving, my grandpa stuffed the turkey by accident, and my mom was more mad about it than I was. And one time at church, the boys who were setting up sacrament put my little cracker on the same tray as the actual bread, so I had to refuse it in the middle of sacrament. In the middle of sacrament, they got a new cracker and blessed it again just to give it to me. I hated myself for that, even though it wasn't my fault. I know intellectually that all those things just mean that those people want to take good care of me, but honestly, it just feels like I'm always getting in the way. But watching Milo, it's easy to see that none of the crazy things that happen around him are his fault. He's just a kid trying to get by. Elliot is wrong. And that little Elliot in the back of my head is wrong. I am not a burden or a problem. I just have a disability. I felt so seen by Milo Murphy's Law. That's not an experience I've ever really had with media before. Of course, I love all sorts of media and I've related to it before, but I had never seen my own everyday life experience so perfectly reflected in a fictional character. I never really understood why people care so much about representation until I saw that. He is like me. I am not the only one. It doesn't matter if each and every individual trait that someone could possibly have appears on screen. I don't care if I never see a character with celiac disease. What does matter is showcasing a variety of experience, because there will always be something to relate to. Milo is more like me than any character who just doesn't eat bread, even though he's a guy and a middle schooler and doesn't have food allergies. He expresses the spirit of my experience, and I think the spirit of an experience is the thing that really matters. I sincerely doubt that Dan and Swampy will ever see this, but I hope they do. And if they do, I just want to say, you guys are the kings of summer. You certainly made my summer better. Thanks for watching.